We are at the Benzinga Cannabis Capital Conference in our hometown, Detroit, with Michael Elias from Common Citizen. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it for being
Common
here.
Citizen is a fantastic brand.
Thank you, man.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Tell us about it.
Common Citizen is a human-centric, purpose-driven brand designed to reflect the communities that we're in, but more importantly, to accelerate the normalization of consumption by ensuring that those who are on the fringes, which are many, need to be able to see themselves in the store to even think about consuming. So, we don't worship leafy motifs. The hero of our story is not the plant. The hero of our story is not, the methods on how we grow the product. The heroes are the common citizens, the people that look like you and I, that cut across all kinds of racial backgrounds, socio-demographic backgrounds, and the idea is to really reflect the mass number of people that actually consume. We're talking engineers, lawyers, doctors, professionals, laborers, and I think people really need to understand that this is not, all those ideas that we have about who's consuming are really not accurate. And so, we've had this relationship, a harmonious relationship with the plant for 12,000 years. Yeah. And only in the last 70 years have we accelerated these misconceptions. Yeah. And so the entire brand is designed to be a movement to unravel those misconceptions.
Yeah. It was a nasty breakup.
Yeah.
Just like overnight.
Yeah.
So even though you're very focused on medical cannabis right now, what I've seen in your imagery is like you don't shy away from people smoking either. And just tell us about this.
Yeah.
It's a strange approach, right? It's unique in the sense that everyone. I was mentioning in the interview I was doing before, like everyone is like it's all about wellness now, all about wellness.
Yeah. Well, I think we got to be real. If we're talking common citizen, we got to be real. And when you think of the diversity in how people consume, smoking and vaping can't be neglected. At the end of the day, there are people that prefer that method of consumption, and it doesn't mean they're any, they're deviant or they're any worse off than anybody else. These are people that look like you and I that may not have any other preferred method. And so, I think for us, it's highlighting the diversity of how and what they consume, I think as a reflection of the common citizen. Anything less would be disingenuous and inaccurate. So for us, we're founders that grew up in Detroit, Michigan. A lot of people think we're this big monster MSO with the number of licenses we have and the capital we have. But at the end of the day, we're real guys, blue collar guys in a white collar world, and we identify with Michiganders in a big way. This is one of the biggest pain populations in the state, in the country. As a healthcare guy who started at the St. John Health System, for me, I think what our brand does is really reflect the commoners, and that really identifies with the founders. Is like we're just grinders, guys from the city, and we want to be real.
I do get it.
Michigan people, Detroiters want real people in the space.
I do get it. I think that's why the brand resonates with me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Real. I'm this guy from Argentina. I happen to like weed. Suddenly it's like, oh, this is it, right? No. Everyone is showing me their machines and their, they show me these massive machines. I don't care. I don't know what they do.
Yeah. I think, I tell my guys, the key here is to keep focused on why we're in business. And it's for that person that comes through that retail store who is not sure that cannabis is for them. We designed the entire brand for the 88% that do not consume today. And the goal, if you're going to do that, you need to come at it completely different. You need to come at it with education, hand-holding. They need to be able to walk into a dispensary and feel at home.
Did you not mention earlier, what was your mean time? You mentioned in a previous conversation the average time people spend at our dispensary is like 40 minutes? 45
minutes. And we do that purposely because the majority of folks that come in are coming in for the first time. We've designed a cafe. We sell coffee. We're about to sell coffee at Flint. And that's designed to really disarm them, and have a conversation over something that's familiar, something that's benign. So our goal is not to see in street. Our goal is to slow them down so that we can establish the rapport. And that relationship goes far beyond the retail experience in terms of following up and really connecting with them.
It's a healthcare approach. As
it's
you say,
absolutely.
When you go to the doctor, you don't want the doctor, you go in for a consultation, you don't want the doctor to, want to get you out of the office in 5 minutes. Like, let's see, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to go. It's like, no.
Yeah, precisely. You're absolutely spot on. In fact, we took a page book. In fact, that's how I refer to the design, is based on my healthcare background, is that, patients don't come in looking for a product to get back to baseline. They're looking for a care team to give them a care plan to get them back. And so the
people looking just for product will still probably call their illicit market provider.
100%.
Just like, get me the weed, get it to me fast, as cheap as possible or as potent as possible.
Exactly.
Period.
So when you look at, I love that you brought that up, because when you look at the way our provisioning centers are designed, in fact we call them chapters, which is in line more with a movement. Most dispensaries are very product centric. Here are your vape pens, here are your tinctures, here are your lotions. And that's great from an inventory control perspective, to have all your stuff in one place. What we've done is we flipped that on its head, and we said, look, people are coming in to meet a need. And so we created 4 common states.
They don't know what they need.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of people I talk to don't know what a tincture or salve
exactly.
or topical is. They didn't know they even existed. They will go into the dispensary, it's just saying, my back hurts.
Right. So we have 4 need states based on the literature that we've done. We've been able to distill down 4 different types of consumers: your solo consumer, your social consumer, your wellness consumer, and your real clinical consumer. And it speaks human. So on the solo side, you got what we call unplug. There's a table in our store that's color coded, and in that table are products that meet that need state. And so what's in it? You got indicas mainly. The folks that go, the solo consumers are those that are trading their glass of wine at the end of the night for an indica to decompress or have trouble sleeping. Then you got time to shine, which is your social consumer, and that's more on the sativa side. Then you got sweet relief, which is your clinical consumer, where you got your RSOs, your 3-to-1s, and then the last table is called daily dose, and that is your micro, wellness consumer who's looking for a product that isn't going to sedate them, but give them a little pick-me-up as they go through their day. So it's a very need state-centric design when you walk in, and the conversations are happening on the shop floor, not behind a counter. And the hope is that we want to transact in those in those areas. We also have huge couches and breakout rooms for private conversations. There are many people that walk into that store that can't actually walk the length of the store because they just got zapped with radiation and chemo, and they're looking for ways to stimulate their appetite, or a diabetic who's got a ton of edema that can't walk. So I'm actually thinking about bringing wheelchairs into this provisioning center. But right now, these breakout rooms are heavily used because when they get into that space, we can shut the door, we can bring product to them, we can pull the Citizens Code book out and really go through what terpenes mean. And there's more than just CBD and THC out there. So we explain to them with the Citizen Code book that's handed to every patient that comes in what these words mean. And that it's not just CBD and THC, that, these terms like Han Solo Burger, Pug's Breath, these chemovar terms that really no one really understands is really not enough to essentially connect.
It's much like it makes it more confusing.
100%.
So last question, this is a business and finance focused event. We're a finance focused company. Many of our viewers want to know a little bit about your business model, which is very interesting. I mean, you're very likely the largest company in Michigan. As you said, you're very well capitalized. You have several licenses, and you told me we are now looking to expand beyond Michigan. So
as an industrial engineer,
what's with that?
So look, I mean, to me, it makes total sense to keep the geographic footprint of our operation manageable. As a lean practitioner, a Toyota trained lean sensei and a GE master black belt, who spent 21 years driving continuous improvement in complex acute care environments, healthcare. My training has really been keep the geographical footprint small, accelerate the failures through Kaizen events and DOEs, get the standard operating system where it needs to be, and then expand from there. I mean, this is not anything that anyone who's a process engineer isn't thinking about. I wish this was innovative, but it's not.
No.
But at the end of the day,
it seems like the industry is in a rush.
Right, and so for us, I think, these windows of opportunity and certain licenses and assets open up in different states. I would be lying to you if we're not looking at those, but I can tell you that those assets will be sitting dormant until we get proof of concept in the state we reside. And even though we have a large footprint in Michigan, it doesn't make any sense to accelerate beyond at this point until we get proof of concept. And so for us, we have some very powerful, sophisticated 70-year-old tools and principles that will accelerate getting us to get the dust to settle on the standard operating system. And then when these assets are now ready for deployment, we can wrap that standard operating system around that asset in Missouri, in Florida, and really take the standards that we've learned in Michigan across the continuum to look like a real business. Acquiring a bunch of fragmented entities and beefing up your valuation is not, it's a strategy, but it's not one that's sustainable.
It is not.
Yeah, it is not sustainable. And that comes through a lot of trial and error through my time in healthcare, spanning out value streams across wide geographies. And this is not me, this is not an opinion. This is the science of industrial engineering put at practice. And when I look at cannabis, when I look at our 1.2 million square foot cultivation in Marshall, we are not building that all out on day one. We are building it in modular increments. Each room is a standalone system so that we don't leave any money on the table. One of the presidents of the company is David Yostos. He ran a $4 billion portfolio for Microsoft, building data centers all over the world. That industry has been forced to drive the capital expense down, but drive high efficiency technology. All we're doing is taking that tried and tested technology into the cultivation space and innovating in a way very few are. What that gives us is a hybrid greenhouse that allows us to use the sun, but also have the same level of environmental controls as an indoor, but at fractions of the cost, because we get to offset our energy costs by using the sun.
Oh yeah.
And it turns out that Marshall, Michigan has the cheapest power in the state because they own their own power. And it's centrally located in the middle of the state where we can get to everybody, 80% of the population under an hour and a half.
Stroke of luck, or
God's been good. Well,
you can be honest.
Yeah, so
you're saying you premeditated everything else.
There's a combination of a little bit of luck and a little divine intervention and strategy, no question. But I can tell you, so towards the time I left North York General Hospital, I started a healthcare consulting practice that basically became known as a practice that would take on underperforming health systems and gut their service lines and build them back up using lean manufacturing. One of my clients was Oak Lawn Hospital in Marshall, Michigan. And when you're building out ORs, it is a political exercise. That got me to get the relationships in the city, and when I told them we were going into that space, we basically wrote the ordinance. Yeah, it just happened to be, that was my main client, and they just happened to be strategically located with everything I just said. God is good, man. God is good, no question about it.
Well, here's to much more success
thanks, man. I
and
appreciate
serendipity.
Yeah, thank you so much. Come see us, man. Come see us. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you again.
For joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here,
as
always.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be seeing you around.
All right, man. All right, take care, brother.